lot is being discussed, merits, demerits, and we are, at least from the ground, we are hearing things are slowly but gradually they are stabilizing. So, in this entire thing, what is your take as to what will it do to India's story in the medium to long term, and what are some of the hidden positives which are not yet been discussed of this demonetization?
I rate demonetization a success despite, all the trouble that we have gone through, despite the flip-flop in rules, etc., that the government had to calibrate virtually on a daily basis. So there are certain advantages that have accrued, and which I think are phenomenal, absolutely. That every single rupee has an address now. They know where it has come from and where it will go.
Sure.
Now, in a digital and a data world, what power that information has, we will realize over the next 3, 4, 5 years. And my mind goes back to 1991, that when the great Mr. Narasimha Rao liberalized the economy, did he see what all will happen? He didn't see.
Yeah.
So I think something like this has happened with this demonetization. Yeah. And so the biggest advantage that will come for the paucity of time, I won't dwell on it further, but data. The next step is digital, and digital leads to data. Data leads to data analytics. That leads to market segmentation, market expansion. So all the whole organized sector is going to get such phenomenal data. And what all will happen because of that, I mean, I can't even imagine and I can't even describe fully. I think once this demonetization is over, once an assessment has been made as to what needs to be done, I think people will feel more comfortable, and I don't think the government will act in any manner which is what we call high-handed or anti-people, anti-businessman, anti-rich as such. I think it is anti-only bad behavior, which is black money. I think politically, if the government feels more strong about it, if they think that rupee will remain stable, as it has discovered that, post the 35 billion outflow also, the strength of rupee is one big strength.
Sure.
Political strength is the next big strength.
Sure.
And I don't know if you're talking about UP elections, but just conjecturally, absolutely conjecturally, we do not know what will happen. If BJP is able to win UP, I think a lot of things that you're expecting will happen.
So GST has been one of the big reforms which we talked about, and it looks, what is your view in terms of implementation of GST, and B, what does that do in the short term as well as in the medium to long term?
I think eventually it will be a big success. There's no doubt about it, because as I said, that whole data that comes from digital behavior and an integrated, revenue chain of the GST will have. I think in the initial years, we will have to see how exactly this gets administered and when does it roll in.
But do you expect that initial years, that period could be painful, 12, 18 months in terms of when it is actually getting implemented?
I think to expect that there will not be any pain would not be right, because I think that has been the experience all around the world. The fact that states have got in, maybe there is a virtue to it, that, everybody wants to look good. And so India has its own unique way of doing things.
Sure.
And so GST is also like that. So we have to study the exact contours. And I'm trying to see the positive part that, well, the state will not be leave it to the center, center will not be able to leave it to the states. When it comes to apportioning blame, everybody will be party to it. And if we get that much more power to administer it and to roll it out, it might even prove to be less painful than is expected.
Vallabh, you spoke about in your recent media interaction that 2017 should definitely be much better than 2016. Can you elaborate on that? What gives you that confidence that 2017 indeed will be a much better year?
Several things. Firstly, this demonetization will lead to this digitization, a better share in the organized sector, and so on. The second part is going to be what is happening in the world. The world has moved away from holding back to investing in growth.
Sure.
So you're seeing that in China, you're seeing that in Japan, and you're of course seeing it very aggressively in the US. Even Europe has returned back to growth. Second, I think this whole commodity collapse that had happened has started to come back. The emerging markets, by and large, they depend a lot on commodities. And we were doubly hit in the sense we will be, while we will suffer on account of oil, but the fact that, a lot of our sectors, corporate sector, including some of the PSUs, have large stakes in commodity, companies, they will do better. I think countries that were depending upon commodities like in the Middle East or some of the other countries from oil or other metals, etc., they start doing better. So you'll find the aggregate, demand in the world gets a boost because they have more purchasing power. And lastly, the whole inventory phenomenon that had happened in the last 1.5 years, that we constantly had inventory losses due to falling prices. Now that trend will reverse and it will start, resulting in inventory gains. So this might push the inflation a little bit. And therefore, rupee stability matters a lot, that you don't have a double whammy. You have only this. So I think while oil price may not shoot up to $80 or something, this kind of trend in metals and oil is a very healthy trend.
Where do you see the opportunity? Where do you see the differentiated opportunity to invest money? And I'm not talking about 6 months, even if I take a 3-5 year perspective, either entrepreneurs, whether it is startup, where do you see that real opportunity?
I think when we see an economy grow at 7% to 8% over the next 5, 10, 15 years, or in that range, everything makes money eventually. And the question is, if the stock market runs ahead, it's a self-correcting mechanism. And therefore, someone who, just as you mutual fund guys have created this brilliant SIP. And I think that's what the market requires, that you have to be patient, you have to wait for dips, but you have to be a buyer into the equities all the time. Coming back to your real estate and gold, so these are more cyclical. I think real estate, if I were to say that, has all real estate made money in the last 10 years? Answer is no. Markets in India, Madhu, except we saw that a big sharp correction that came in 16.
And those have always proven to be big opportunities.
Big opportunities. So I think every time there is a sharp decline, that's when you will be able to buy attractively into the market. Otherwise, you have to buy systematically into the market. This is a market now which has so many smart investors, so many FIIs, and it's so nice. There's competition for buying. That's absolutely wonderful. So it should not be easy. Nobody should expect that it's easy to buy into the market unless you are alert, gutsy, and you are able to take advantage of the dips. That's when everybody is running in the wrong direction. That's when you should be coming into the market.
So you're making 2 big points. One, buy any large dips which comes into equities, and otherwise just systematically invest into equities.
Yeah, because I do believe that over the next 10 years, our market should go up by 100 to 150%. So, and then individual stocks can do much better. So, if take for example, some of the commodity companies, they've doubled and tripled in a few months.